It's Friday, January 23rd. I'm talking 3-game slate over at DraftKings for January 24th. It's a Saturday. Rotowire.com/soccer, code YouTube15 to get 15% off everything. I'm using our cheat sheet, but we got a bunch of other content on the site. We got FPL content, we got Fantrax content, we got sleeper content. And yeah, the projections I'm using for this show are actually the same ones. Not surprising. The same ones I use for Fantrax and Sleeper and FPL as well. So that's the main reason why I do this, because I got the projections. So why not use them? Let's check out the cheat sheet here for the 3-game slate. Let's go over the odds, and the slate is even up. So this is a repeat, I think, of the last couple of years, where every January, every second half of the season, DraftKings is like, we're actually going to wait until Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern maybe to release the slate. And that's kind of seems like what we're getting into right now. So here are the odds. Manchester City are the biggest favorite. This is a interesting 3-gamer here, because Man City are home against the worst team in the league. Worst team in the league in terms of being in the table, in terms of form. I don't think the Wolves are actually the worst team in the league right now. They've been playing a little better the last couple of weeks, but either way, the odds are pretty juiced. 2.68 implied goal total for Manchester City, and that's 0.83 for Wolverhampton. You look at the other two matches, a pretty wide range. Spurs, man, can you trust Spurs? Spurs last week, we had the 5-game slate. They were home against West Ham. They ended up losing. So shouts to all the Spurs fans out there. Thank you for watching. But they're at Burnley, and yes, they are favored. I actually don't agree with these odds. I'd have to check with my projections to see what I actually put in there, but I don't think I have the 1.54 for Tottenham. I feel like I actually tweaked that a little bit because it just does not feel right. All right, well, I just lied. My projections are fairly similar, unfortunately. But, it's what we're doing here. Fulham are home against Brighton. They're 1.42, and then Brighton are 1.39. Again, the slate's not up, so I'll be using our optimizer to just check out prices. As usual, the optimizer is under that paywall. So YouTube 15% off. But as we look at what's going on the slate, floor cash games are going to be a little different than tournaments because this Manchester City situation. I think when going into the slate, you're like, okay, Manchester City are the biggest favorite, but what are we actually looking at here? So you see the suspension mark for Rodri. He's suspended in Champions League next week. So he has played a lot. So I am kind of wondering what his minutes will look like. But given that he doesn't have to play next week in Champions League, I think that's at least a positive sign. I put Kushyanov here at right back. We'll see if that ends up being Matheus Nunes or Rico Lewis at right back. We'll see how that happens. Mark Gahey is set for his debut for Manchester City. Aiton Ori or Nico Riley at left back. I guess we could technically get Nico Riley playing in a midfield role because that has happened recently. Doku didn't start midweek. Semenyo is ineligible in Champions League right now. So we could be looking at 90 from Semenyo. I kind of like Semenyo over some of these other guys, kind of like Doku. Bernardo Silva, just useless in DFS these days. But I think the bigger question here is Foden or Cherky. Who's going to be actually starting? I've also seen plenty of projections have Omar Marmoush starting over Haaland, which, okay, I wasn't going to do that myself just because you can never trust the things that Pep says. But are we going to get 90 from Haaland? Maybe not. If Foden starts, I don't think we're getting 90 from him. This could be another, he's playing with a broken hand. I think he went 70 midweek, went 45 last weekend when he broke his hand. And then you still have the Cherokee question in there. I think it's kind of 50-50 almost at Foden, whether it's Foden or Cherokee. But then if Cherokee starts, is Foden coming on? Who is he coming on for? So this is, I think this is a pretty real question here for Manchester City and how you're projecting this game to go, because Wolverhampton have played better lately, and I don't think they really have any absences that they're dealing with. But I would say I'm personally, looking at the Foden situation, early sub, even with corners, I would be fine fading him. Cherokee is kind of another conversation there. And then Doku Semenyo. I do like Semenyo a decent amount just because he's more of a goal scorer than Doku is. Semenyo 9,400, Doku 8,800. I'll go through the forward list here. I talked about Matthias Tell last week. He is 9,200. Let me actually click into his profile here because I think it's the interesting thing here. He was another player. He was ineligible in Champions League, but last week, even though he only went 62 minutes, he still had a floor of 14.2 points. He had 7 crosses, 3 corners, had a few fouls drawn, shots, chances created. Early substitute last 2 starts. Maybe that's not what you want to see, but I don't think you can completely deny it right now. 9,200, it is kind of a hefty price. Otherwise, at forward, there's not really a ton. Reuter, if he starts, 7,300. Raul Jimenez is 7,900. Iwobi is too expensive. He's going to be back from AFCON. You could look at these Burnley guys. I mean, depending on what you think about Tottenham, Marcus Edwards is finding some form finally for Burnley. He's 6,700. Jaden Anthony is 5,300. Broja, everyone's guy Broja, is down at 3,700. I'm actually going to change this because I am only looking at players I have projected to start right now. So let me see if I can actually change this. I'm not sure if I'll be able to, but either way, I think we'll be okay. Other options, Kevin, 5,300. Kolomwani, 4,300. Not really looking at the Tottenham 4 because right now we're going to get Dom Solanke coming off the bench. Wolverhampton, if you want a Wolverhampton guy, okay, that is all you. We're moving on to midfielder here, and that's kind of where I mentioned at the top the Foden and Cherokee conversation. So we have Foden at 8,900. Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out the best method to do this, and there isn't really a good method. So we'll just go with my projected starters here in the midfield. That's what we're going to do. So Harry Wilson's 9,500. Home against Brighton. Not sure that's the spot, but tournament move, go for it. Semenyo, again, another option in the midfield. Foden, 8,900. Iwobi, Gross. Pascal Gross, what is it, Monday night? I think it was Monday, Brighton against Bournemouth, and I think everyone forgot that Pascal Gross was a thing, and I just want to pull up his profile here. He had 16 crosses in that game. He's gone 90s in every start for Brighton. I know Brighton's a little healthier right now, but this is a pretty relevant factor here. They didn't really have corners against Man City or Manchester United, so hence the 0 corners there. But home against at Fulham. But either way, Pascal Gross here. Now he's up to 7K. Marcus Edwards, forward midfield eligible. That's kind of what we're looking at. Miedema finally went 90 last game. He's 6K. An interesting tournament route. And then we're kind of getting the cheaper guys. Sessegnon actually played in that attacking role last game, so something I'd keep an eye on. But again, with Iwobi back, with Chukwueze back, we're going to get some early subs with some of these guys, and Sessegnon is probably going to be one of them. Just so I'd monitor that because they got Kevin, they got Chukwueze. If Sessegnon does start in that attacking position, Kenny Tete is also, I think he's going to be available now as well. So all these teams are getting their guys back from AFCON. They're getting healthier as well. Something I would just monitor overall in terms of, looking at these guys these sub 5K players who are like, oh, okay, he's been going a lot of minutes lately, but may only be 70 minutes now because of what's going on. Otherwise, in the midfield, I actually had a filter here that was kind of ruining. Not including all the players. Nico O'Reilly, 7,200. How about that? That's a little too expensive. Let's see what Conor Gallagher has been doing because he's not eligible in Champions League. He's another guy, so we could be looking at 90 minutes. Home against West Ham, 10.5 point floor. Okay. A few crosses, in this defensive role. Against Burnley, kind of like that. 6,500. Don't like the price. Xavi Simons is at 6,400. kind of like Simone's here. Obviously, a little more than Gallagher. But you look at what he's done lately, it's been better than previously. It's been better. It's been better than his negative performance against Liverpool. He isn't scoring or assisting, but I mean, we should look at it. He's getting shot in goal every match. 7 chances created the last 3 games. He is going 90s. He's playing through knocks, all sorts of things. 4 straight 90s here. So kind of like him, 6,400 against Burnley. Figure he's going to get similar amount of opportunities as he's been getting in recent games. Rodri also, his numbers are pretty positive in the projections, just because everyone's numbers are pretty positive in projections. But he is only 5,900. This is a guy at his peak, I think what he got up to about 8K or something. So that'd be someone to consider. Probably won't be too popular because he's kind of in this no man's land for Manchester City. And you got all these Tottenham guys. Odo Bears, 5,800. He's been going 90s. Bernardo Silva, 3,400 full on, just a pass at this point, unless you're a little crazy, you could do that. Back into defender, talked about Porro last week, ended up was actually, I don't know when the last time I talked about him. Maybe it was last week, but yeah, one of these games, yeah, it was the 25 cross game. He's I can't believe that game. He had 25 crosses as Spurs were chasing the match at home against West Ham. Maybe they get that again. Maybe Burnley get the opening goal and Tottenham are just pressing the rest of the way. If you want to play at 7,500, go for it. Split of corners with Tell. If you need to, you're probably at that point, you're not playing Haaland, and you're not playing 2 of the expensive Man City players. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to afford him. But otherwise, I mean, there's not really anyone who is actually good at defender, or anyone who you actually want to play at defender. So I think you look at it, Porro 7,500. Next highest is Hugo Bueno at 5,900. You're not going to play him at Manchester City. Anthony Robinson hasn't been that great this season since coming back from injury. And then it's like Joel Veltman, Spence, Lucas Perez. You don't want to play these guys. So at that point, we're kind of looking at Kushinov, whether he plays at center back or right back, he's 2,900. Mark Gahey is 3,400. That's kind of going to be what a popular route will be, is going these Manchester City center backs, fullbacks, home against Wolverhampton. That's probably going to be the best route, because can you trust anyone else on the slate? Not really. Popping up in the projections, Porro pops up, and then Gahey and Kushinov pops up. Also in the start using the optimizer here, Xavi Simons, Rodri pops up, Odo Bear pops up, Haaland, of course, pops up in tournaments. He didn't pop up in cash games, which isn't surprising. Doku's on here. Semenyo, not on here too often, but I do like Semenyo just because of his minutes lock and that kind of a thing. Actually, he is on here. I overlooked him. But as we get to goalkeeper, I don't know. The optimizer likes Donnarumma here, which, okay, I got him projected for about 8 points. Donnarumma or Dubravka. I kind of like Dubravka. If we're getting Dubravka for 4,100, home against Tottenham, I like Dubravka a lot. I think I'm just going to lock Dubravka in, actually. Not going to trust Donnarumma, even if he wins with a clean sheet. You're looking at 1 save probably, kind of a thing. So I'll go Dubravka. But I think that's what we're going to do here for this 3-game slate. Let me run through things, see if I didn't forget anything. But I think that it's reasonable that you could fade some of these Man City guys and hope that, okay, someone else scores other than Haaland and he gets subbed off because he's tired. Similar for Foden. Maybe they don't get corners. Don't need to play him. He's going to sub off early. Cherky, find it a little more difficult to substitute Cherky because he is healthier than Foden and has looked better than Foden this season. But yeah, so Doku, Semenyo, I think you're still going to have to pick between some of these guys. You're going to have to pick between Doku and Semenyo, unless you play both and then you fade Foden and Haaland. You could take that route. How much do you like Tottenham? I think this is going to be a talking point pretty much in every slate the rest of the way. How much do you like this Tottenham team? And if you say not very much, I think everyone will agree with you. So that one's not going to be too crazy. But I think Broja, Marcus Edwards, Jane Anthony, those guys are in here. Let me pull up Marcus Edwards' profile here because Scott Parker mentioned him, said he was playing in better form. He's got the goal, he's got the assist. not much of a floor. 89 minutes, 89 minutes. I think that's the positive you take away there. So someone to consider, similar to Jeet and Anthony there. I think both those guys are decent plays going against Tottenham and given their prices. And Fulham, Brighton, I mentioned all the Fulham guys back, so there's going to be some substitutes. Muniz is still not back, so Jimenez is a good tournament option. You look at his floor, not really much of a floor. So that's the one worry there. And then we'll see who actually starts for Brighton because, again, another team with a bunch of options. Is Baleba going to be back in there? Is Diego Gomez actually going to start? Is Minta actually going to start? I would also not play Minta because Hertzler said that he's not 100% and he's not ready for 90 minutes. So I think it's simple as that. The guy, if he starts and the manager says he's not 100%, I don't want to play him. But maybe he's not going to start. We could see kind of what we had last week, whereas Gruda, I think Gomez on the wing, or I guess Gruda on the wing. We could see that, and then one of those guys gets subbed off early. Minta comes on for him. So you got a lot of worry here. I think De Kuiper is also back from an illness, so you got a bunch of guys who could come on. Then you still have Pascal Gross just sitting there. Hey, I play 90 minutes every game, $7K. Not expensive, not cheap, but when was the last time you played Gross and you're disappointed? It's been 3 years, we'll call it 3 years. But I think that's all I got here. Again, rotowire.com/soccer. Check out all of our content and the cheat sheets. YouTube won 5 to get 15% off. Hit us up in the Discord. Any more questions? We'll also have the full projections posted in there. Thank you for listening and